Welcome to the IREL podcast. Are you sick and tired of real estate gurus pitching their next free construction deal, only to find out years later they were completely wrong? Worried the next overseas conference you spend thousands to attend will only be used to sell overpriced lots and deserted developments? Join thousands of other international real estate seekers who are looking for their place in paradise without the sales pitch. Straight from your host, Taylor White.
Hey, real estate seeker, welcome to the Overseas Property Insider Podcast. I'm your host, Taylor White. I am proud to say this episode is brought to your earbuds, courtesy of my friends at Home Exchange. How would you like to connect with like-minded travelers, experience a brand new city, live like a local, and stay completely free? Welcome to the world of Home Exchange. Head on over to irelpodcast.com/exchange to get started. I'm excited to head for our first time to the African continent when I sit down and speak with Protus Nyamweya from Remax Proam Group in Nairobi, Kenya. And as always, we'll get the true story on the local real estate scene and have you coming away wanting to investigate its local property market further or cross off your shortlist entirely and continue listening. Right now from Protus, you will learn why someone who was born and raised in Kenya earned his college degree stateside and then decided to return home after graduation believes the capital city of Nairobi is one you should consider. Better explains the recent Land Reform Acts and why this is bringing new interest in all business sectors, including real estate. Reveals that in a country of 45 million people, only 20,000 of them have mortgages and strategies to consider instead when buying real estate, and much more. And don't forget, if you're listening to this podcast and want to grab Protus's contact details, links on buying or selling Nairobi real estate, or any other show notes, head on over to irelpodcast.com/36. Grab me a refreshing dawa, another plate of ugali, and listen close as we try to bring you the best sounding Nairobi episode we can. In case you can't tell, I'm excited. Let's get Protus on the phone. What's going on, Protus? It's Taylor White. I'm excited to have you on the podcast today, straight from Nairobi, Kenya, so we can get to know you personally. Tell us more about yourself and where your stomping grounds were before you ended up in Nairobi.
Hello, Taylor. It's a pleasure to be on your show. Protus Proam Group extends our deep and sincere gratitude to be on the show today. I was born and raised in Kenya, but when I finished my high school, left at the age of 16 and went to study in Atlanta, Georgia, where I believe it or not, I was a chiropractic student in Life University. And yeah, I was a really good student, even though I didn't end up as a chiropractor. I did my undergrad at Life University. I was a really good student and on the dean list during my undergraduate when I was doing my bachelor's in biology before joining the chiropractic school. And I'll tell you, man, that was one tough son of a gun. 4 years of nothing but human biology. You can imagine. Not biology, dissection, etc. Nothing but human science. By year, I was exhausted and wasted. So 8 months to graduation, I downed my tools. I turned down my white gown into real estate overall. And one of those you wear when going under crawl space to inspect a foundation structure. That was also the year my daughter was born. And prior to all this, I had started selling real estate as a part-time job. As you know, an international student back then, that's post September 11, 2001. So things for international students were a bit tough. You couldn't do more than 20 hours a week. So I decided, do the least but make the most. And I ended up with real estate and I loved it.
So Protus, talk to me. We are in March. We have listeners from over 45 countries. What's the weather like today in Nairobi?
Taylor, this is Nairobi is pretty much a southern state kind of weather. Call it not so much of Florida summer, but a little bit of Georgia and Florida. Today is like a nice warm summer, not too hot, not too breezy, but really nice.
Absolutely fantastic, Protus. And so we can get a better idea of you professionally, give us your brief resume leading up to Remax Proam Group Realtors.
Not sure where to start. My life has been in real estate ever since I quit chiropractic school, man. Proam Group Realtors first opened doors in 2004 in Atlanta, Georgia. I lived in Atlanta, Georgia from 97 to 2011, April 2011. Proam Group, how does Proam Group and Remax mix? Let me break it down for you. Proam Group recently acquired a Remax franchise, and as a result, due to the Remax franchisee regulations, we became Remax Proam Group Realtors in 2013, November of 2013. As a Remax franchise, we're looking into tapping into the international market, and to be specific, North American and the European market.
So, Protus, I'm very curious. I haven't been to Kenya. What's the national language? Obviously, you speak English fantastic. You lived in the States for a time, went to college. What's the national language, or what's the language that most people speak in Kenya or else in Nairobi?
Nairobi is a melting pot, my friend, but our national language is Swahili. But English is spoken by a fair majority of Kenyans.
Well, Protus, we are always fascinated to learn about which countries people have considered and why. Now, why don't we delve deeper into Kenya as a whole, and then why you chose Nairobi in particular versus other popular Kenyan locations?
Well, Nairobi is the capital city, and it's the capital hub of East Central Africa. With Nairobi supporting most of the countries around Kenya, it was an easy pick for me. Besides, I was born here, I was brought up here, my family is here, I have friends here. It was a fairly easy pick for me. When I first got to Kenya, it took about 6 months to transverse the country because Kenya, going through transfers in the country to see what would be the best place to set shop, because I wasn't too sure if I wanted to set up shop where my family was or where my friends were. But then after traveling quite a bit, I tried Eldoret, which is a town which is west of Nairobi. It's about 400 kilometers. But I found it too slow. Visited Kisumu, Kisii, those are still the southern, not southern, but western and northern of Kenya. They were a bit too slow, and the real estate market there is not as mature as I wanted to be. I then moved to coast of Kenya, where most of the activity that was of interest to me was just vacation homes and some executive apartments for Kenyans visiting the coast and Kenyans buying second homes. Though one town that was very much of interest to me is Malindi, which is also in the coast region. Which is this is more of the vacation side of Kenya, the coast. Malindi is a very interesting for locals. Even locals speak Italians.
Wow.
Yes, they have a very, very huge population of Italians who moved to Kenya a few years ago, who came to Kenya as tourists, but they set a shop in Malindi. So they own most of the hotels, most of the vacation homes over there. But Nairobi did it for me. I called my home and head of operations office. Although we're based in Nairobi, we do business all over Kenya, and we vet partners in pretty much all the 47 counties. And we pretty much can work anywhere. But our head office is in Nairobi.
Protus, we are looking at a map. We see Africa, we see Kenya. Can you better explain where Nairobi is located?
Nairobi is in East Africa. I mean, if you're on the map of Africa, we'll be towards the east of Africa, and we will be most people know Nigeria.
Of course.
Nigeria is in West Africa. We are on the totally opposite of Kenya. We are on the, basically the equator cuts into Kenya into two places. So we are in the East Africa.
And then Protus, I'm curious, as I know Kenya is extremely popular. Is it coastal? Is it landlocked?
It's coastal. The south of Nairobi of Kenya is coastal. The coast province is pretty much. You have really nice, world-class beaches there. From the south coast, north coast to Malindi to Lamu. Those are waterfront, so to speak, on the Indian Ocean. We are on the southern part. We have the Indian Ocean, which takes pretty much the whole of the coastal region.
Well, Protus, we have gotten to know you both personally and professionally, reasons why you chose Kenya and why Nairobi speaks to you. But get ready, because now it's time for us to pick your brain on the local real estate scene and to get the juices flowing. We're going to do a quick round of what I like to call the real estate hot seat. We'll ask you 5 rapid-fire questions, and you give me an answer in 15 seconds or less each. Protus, are you ready for the Nairobi hot seat?
Yes, sir.
All right. What currency is real estate priced in?
The bulk of the real estate in Nairobi is based on Kenyan shillings. Kenyans are very proud of their currency, and as such, most of the transactions are going to be in Kenyan shillings. However, it's important to know that because of the dollar stability, foreign buyers opt for dollar transactions.
Is owning property as a foreigner legal?
Absolutely. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, we have tons of Italians who moved to the coast of Kenya and even have their own language over there. So foreigners can own land on basis of leasehold tenure only, and such lease, however granted, shall not exceed 99 years. And a body or a corporate should be regarded as a citizen only if the body corporate is fully owned by one or more citizens, and property held in trust should be regarded as being held by citizens only if the beneficial interest of the trust is held by people who are citizens. Basically, in layman's terms, Taylor, you can come to Nairobi, buy yourself a nice condo, you get a 99-year lease, you own it for 99-year lease, then when the lease expires, it is what it is. You gotta go. You buy another one, but I don't know too many people who would live for 99 years anyway. And besides that, you could sell the property and buy another one and get another 99 years. So it's just a technical way of putting things. Or you find a lot of corporations that say you come here and say, you know what, I want to buy a property. So what you do is you form a company. You nominate a Kenyan to be one of your directors. You give them, say, 1%. You give them 1%, and then you buy land under the corporation.
And then, Protus, we're going to transition to number 3. You touched on it a little bit, but I'm going to ask it again. Can property be titled?
Yes. See, we recently had some land reforms. So landowners post-independence had 999-year leases of land ownership. And some of our land ownership acts were repealed, and Land Title Act was one of them, with Registration of Titles Act. They were replaced by the National Land Commission Act of 2012. And the National Land Commission Act would have powers in the management and administration of public and private land. Basically, we had what was happening, we had a few people, very powerful people that had thousands and thousands of acres just sitting idle. They knew they had 999 years. Some were the colonists whose opted to stay back and kept thousands and thousands of acres of land undeveloped, uncultivated, just land just sitting. So when that was repealed, we got now, if you buy land, if you buy a property, you get a plain 99-year lease. For citizens, if you move here and become a citizen, which is possible and happens a lot of I have a lot of friends who've been here for a few years and now they're citizens. Then you get 99-year lease renewable.
Can money flow in and out of Kenya easily, or are there currency restrictions?
There are no currency restrictions that I know of, and yes, money can flow in and out very easily through the legal channels. Money moves into Kenya very easily. Apart from the money laundering laws that are international, anyways, where there are clear transaction documents highlighting the use of the money. Kenya is one of the easiest countries to transact in cash. However, US dollar, the British pound, and Kenya shillings are the most commonly used.
And then, as listeners know, Protus, my number one question, what is your favorite local drink?
Good question. Well, it'll depend on the day, but if we're just having a meeting, it could be what we call dawa. Dawa is a special local drink made from ginger, garlic, honey, and tea. I'm sure you know what year it is there. I think granted in the States one.
Yes.
And, you could either choose this with to have this virgin or with alcohol. Depends on what you like. But I have my local beer, which is Tusker.
Okay, Protus, you can now relax, but just a little bit, as you are off the Nairobi hot seat. But it's time to zero in on the local real estate scene. Give us your brief synopsis on the local real estate market over the last few years, where it is today, and then where you see it heading for the very near future.
Nairobi market has been extremely vibrant over the last 10 years. And Taylor, some people have seen, 100% return on it. As a matter of fact, I have people that I know that have seen, 150, 200% return over 10 years. The average growth, though, when you average the whole country, the average grows about 25% annually, while most of the world, the year 2009, 10, and 11, everywhere in the world they were on the downward trend, But our annual average growth was about 25%, especially the coast in Nairobi. But also, some of this might not be explainable to you. It might not make a whole lot of sense. But this can be attributed to the growing middle class. More Kenyans are now able to afford mortgages. Also, we have a huge expatriate community in Kenya that feed on our local real estate economy a lot. But more than anything, our growing diaspora market, and that is Kenyans living abroad, who send billions of shillings every month, and that ends up in real estate projects.
So, Protus, I am curious, before we move on, as you lived in the States, you're now in Kenya, how do you think the cost of living differs in Kenya versus the spots that you are in Georgia?
Taylor, that is a very good question. Kenya is, how do I put this? The country, the living standards are not anywhere close to American living standards, yeah? Now, it's much cheaper to live, doing business, living here than it was in the States. And that could be because most of our food, almost everything that we eat is produced locally. If you know the right places to go, if you know the right places to purchase most of the stuff, you find it fairly inexpensive. However, I must say this. Nairobi is not very cheap. Unfortunately, last month we were rated one of the most expensive cities to live in. Okay, and that is because of our taxation. Our economy is highly taxed. So you can't quite compare them, but you could find anything at the right price.
Well, Protus, you have a sold on Kenya as a country, Nairobi as a location, and then a real estate outlook within the near future. Of course, you don't have a crystal ball. I sure as heck don't. No one does. But that is why I think it's so vitally important to get on the ground insight from local real estate professionals. And yes, I just use the words local and on the ground in the same sentence to drive home a very important fact. Protus, you are not some newsletter writer who might spend a few days in Nairobi and then send out emails with hot buys, calling yourself an international real estate guru. You are there in the trenches on a daily basis, dealing with local buyers, sellers, agents, lawyers, and every facet of the real estate business. Protus, break this down even further for us. Pretend you are Google Maps or Google Street View. What streets, neighborhoods, or parts of the city are we talking about in Nairobi?
I get that question a lot. I deal with a lot of diaspora buyers, people who are either Kenyans or non-Kenyans that live outside Kenya. Taylor, the Kenyan market needs a local, on-the-ground guy to get the best of our market. Otherwise, you'll be lost. First, the market is broken into many tiers, but I like covering just the four main tiers. Ultra high-end property, I'm talking about $20 million and above. High luxury end property, that is your 5 million and below. And your middle income now, there is a disparity, when it comes to middle income, because that is a term that is not well understood. Everybody consider themselves middle income, even the crazy income earners. And then we have the low income. That is your, $20,000, $30,000 property owners. Now, these are extremely different markets and different players playing them. Ultra high-end properties are very low supply and they are hardly marketed. You might see them on the paper online. These are oftentimes confused with commercial properties. Hardly marketed as they are sold quietly. Typically, owners of those caliber of properties do not market them. You will never see them anywhere. You just talk to one or two people and they're sold. We are extremely undersupplied when it comes to low-income property. The government, together with foreign donors, World Bank, USAID, and several others, through private partnership, have been encouraging this area a lot. And for foreign investors looking to make a quick buck, this is the best area to put your money. Most of the property in this area is sold to cash buyers offline. Many developers flood these properties in the market before breaking ground, and they're able to build fairly quickly using the buyer's funds and get out on top most of the time. However, our middle income is a little flooded, but this is where developers bank the highest return on the investment, and it takes time to sell, but sells eventually with high profit margin than any of the above markets. Some of areas where a lot of foreigners settle, some of the places where they settle because of availability of security. It's Upper Hill, Kilimani, Milimani, Kileleshwa, Lavington, Westlands, and Parklands. And such areas attracted a lot.
Protus, now that we have specific locations in mind, what types of properties do you recommend? And first, let me give you a few brief examples of what I mean. Are we talking about buying pre-construction units for capital appreciation that we flip? Are we talking about buying completed apartments, houses, or office spaces to generate rental income? Or are we talking about buying land to either sell as is or subdivide into smaller tracts? Protus, give us a better idea of what you are talking about today.
Taylor, Kenyan market is unique market. We own all the above market. It just depends on what your strength is and where you're comfortable. For example, there are a lot of developers here who have 5 to 10 investors who buy pre-construction units and start selling them when builder is almost finishing the project, and oftentimes 30 to 40% return on investment. Please remember, they're only required to pay a deposit and continue making payments to have complete payments before completion and delivery. However, For you to see the best return, you have to have 3 to 4 years to see a good return. And in Kenya, 10 to 20% return isn't considered good enough return on investment. Like many markets where investors are happy with just breaking even, around here that is not good enough. However, word of caution though, when the deal is too good, think twice. A lot of foreigners lose money in investments because they choose to cut corners and don't take precautions while transacting, and they end up bamboozled by locals. So be careful where you invest and talk actual people on the ground. Remax is a brand that don't need to be plugged and where the name speaks for itself.
Okay, Protus. Now, I'm going to hit you up with a two-part question that I know everyone wants to know, and you have to give us a general range. So we have some price points in mind. Here they are. Part one. What would be the price range of what we are talking about? Maybe give us a starting price point at the low end to a final price point at the high end. And Protus, just to clarify, I'm talking about total purchase price.
This market is broken into 4 tiers, and they are not set in stone. These markets can sometimes be confused between residential and commercial. What am I saying? Your pocket speaks for you in Kenya. As I mentioned above, it basically breaks it down into areas. Depending on your level of investment, you can fit in anywhere. I'm talking about as low as 50,000 to 10 million. Choice is yours. I recommend starting small to gain ground in the market before you go back wild.
And then, Protus, I'm going to transition to a part two. I know it's extremely tough, but I'm going to ask it anyways. What would be the cost per meter just for a general range?
Unless you're going into construction, you really hardly hear about cost per meter, cost per foot, or cost per meter. And if you did, it will depend on where you're building, what you're going to build. For example, low-income properties don't ask for the same finishes as high-end, and often size are very different. Yes, I know that apples and oranges comparison. Taylor, you know our low-end properties are really small and don't require too much to finish. The kitchens are smaller, often only one bedroom or none at all. Bathroom or none at all. Will have even a communal toilet or shower. So you can't really say their specific price per square meter. However, the commercial building now, that is a different ballgame altogether.
Well, Protus, this is a question I like to call, what would sister do? My 40-something-year-old sister calls you up, says she has X amount of dollars to spend. You know, you can't let my sister down, Protus. Share with us 3 specific examples you would show her and explain why these make sense.
Taylor, we're in the third world country. But as you know, only third world countries can let you 50% on investment. And that is not a big deal. We have to gain that. So a lot of investors come with some crazy expectations in very realistic time frame. First, I will need to assess your sister's expectation vis-a-vis time frame. I recommend your sister based on the above result. But for illustrations, let us just say she has $200,000 to invest. And she only has 5 years in Kenya. I recommend pre-construction apartments that have broken ground and have less than a year to delivery date. My reasons will be they will be discounted and such will get a better return a year or two after collecting rent for 2 to 3 years. Second recommendation, which is most popular in Kenya, will be buy a property that has a tenant already and start collecting rent as a return of about 10 to 12%. She should expect to collect about $2,000 to about $2,500 a month for 3 to 4 years and sell property at 5 years for $300,000 to $350,000. My third recommendation will be for a guy like me. You know, I gamble, not literally, but I gamble with options. The decisions I make sometimes, and I take risks a lot, and this will probably be mine. Will be buying 3 to 4 pre-construction units with intentions to flip them before completion and delivery. This works like clockwork. And the quickest, easiest return, you have to be careful though, as not all developers will allow you to sell the agreement to a potential buyer before the developer himself completes their own.
Well, Protus, we are laser focused on areas of Nairobi. We know our starting price point. We have an idea of cost per meter. We have 3 specific examples, which are good enough even for my sister. Now, I have to ask an obvious question. How do we buy? Do we need to come in with all cash, or can we come in with a certain percentage down and get local financing from a bank or credit union?
Fantastic question, my friend. Taylor, Kenya is a heavily cash economy. In fact, we have less than 20,000 registered mortgages in this country, in a population of close to 45 million. That's ridiculous. The government, together with local banks, are now encouraging mortgages, but locals, the idea of owing a bank for 15 years is a bit mind-boggling, and they don't really like it much. But as a foreigner, you can get loans in either local currency or dollars. It will depend on which currency your income is. We typically call them forex mortgages. You come with cash or borrow from your country. A lot of people in the past tap into their home equity, and they come in cash, and that worked really well. If you find a way of borrowing abroad and investing in Kenya, kindly share. I will triple my sales, since that will be cheaper for most of my diaspora buyers. Taylor, if you know any lenders willing to work with foreign buyers at rates lower than 7%, please let me know. We can do some business.
Okay, Protus, anyone who has ever owned real estate can tell you, you need to have a money exit strategy in place even before you buy. It's something what I like to call, where's the cheddar? You are buying the property to do what with it to make some money. So, Protus, where's my cheddar?
Exit strategy, yes. That is in capital letters. I'm yelling. You always have to have an exit strategy. That is why I ask all my clients on how much time they have with the money that they're investing. Yes, here's how you do it. You have less than 3 years, then this is the wrong market for you. As you know, real estate matures with time. The longer you wait, the better it is. Basically, Kenya, just like any other real estate market. As long as you have the time, you're in good hands. You have to look at real estate as an asset. If it's generating income while appreciating its value, its value. And if you're pouring money into it with uncertainty of appreciation in value, then what you have might not be an asset but a bottomless pit. Now, where is my money? Well, first we have to address the issue of time. I'll show you where your money is. Enough time, give me enough time and return in terms of rental income and capital gains. So there is your money, but address time first.
Protus, I wanted to thank you for taking the time to share with us about Nairobi real estate. We have heard about your journey, why you chose Kenya, exact areas to focus on, price points to look out for, examples good enough even for my sister, a money strategy to purchase, and then what we might do with it after the fact to make some cheddar. Unfortunately, it's time to say goodbye. But before we do, share with us easy ways to get a hold of you, any parting advice you might want to share, and then let's say goodbye.
Taylor, it's been fun chatting up with you and your listeners, and I wish we have more time to share, because I believe there are more people out there who love to invest outside their countries and just don't know where to start. This is an awesome forum, and you have a go a long way to confirm the real estate is not just a local business, it's indeed international business. But just real quick, here are my contacts. My Skype name, Protus N, that's PROTUSN, and my phone number is +254 0703 115737. And I still keep my US number, Taylor, believe it or not. You can call me on this one and I'll answer. +678 439 5341. My email address is protus.nyamweya@Proam Group. The website is proamgrouprealtors.com.
Absolutely fantastic, Protus. I have really enjoyed this conversation, straight from Nairobi, Kenya to our earbuds, and I hope we can catch up again in 3 to 6 months.
Taylor, thanks a lot from Remax Kenya, Remax Proam Group, and myself. Looking forward to more in the next coming months. Stay blessed, brother. Have a good one.
I want to thank Protus once again for taking us to the African nation of Kenya, and we tried our best to bring you the best quality of show possible. Protus is another Live Here Buy This alum, and I can't wait to get him back on the show again soon with more specific Nairobi real estate investments he believes you need to hear about right now. If you're listening to this podcast and want to grab Protus's contact details, links on buying or selling Nairobi real estate, or any other show notes, head on over to irelpodcast.com/36. Are you a real estate agent, owner, or developer? Do you have properties located in the world's most desired hotspots, just waiting for buyers? Well, guess what? I want to help. As host of a 5-day-a-week, #1 rated Overseas Property Insider podcast with listeners in over 45 countries and growing every day, with top-rated episodes from the world's largest house-sitting site, the #1 online vacation rental marketplace, the premier self-directed IRA company, and the numerous House Hunters International alums from Europe, Africa, Asia, and Latin America, I have been left with one big problem. I need more properties. Whether you're a homeowner in Costa Rica, a developer in Belize, or a short sales specialist in the U.S., or an established real estate agent in Kenya, I invite you to share your properties with my eager audience. Head on over to irelpodcast.com/36 to get started.
You have been listening to the IREL Podcast with Taylor White. Be sure to hit up irelpodcast.com for more. That's irelpodcast.com. Thanks for listening.